Down south, hunting is more than a pastime. It's a tradition. Whether you're tucked into a pine thicket for whitetail or chasing hogs through the bottoms, Nosler Ammo offers the kind of reliable, knockdown power that earns respect season after season. Trust the name that's built a reputation on performance. Trust Nosler.
Welcome to the Southern U Podcast, brought to you by Darden Archery on the OKest Podcast Network, with your co-host Matt Brock, Jeremy Ferguson, and Taylor McMurtry. If you're looking for all things land-related in the Southeast, you came to the right place. Whether it's real estate, habitat, wildlife, or just being outdoors, this is the place for you. Welcome to the Southern U. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Southern U Podcast, where we talk all things land related in the Southeast. My name is Taylor, and believe it or not, the Matt Brock has graced us with his presence. It's been a while. Matt, how's it feel to be back on the pod, man?
Well, I'm a little bit nervous. I don't know. It's been so long. It's like the first time.
Notice that little, the blurred background right there. It's almost like angelic. It's just like he's just like, he's graced us with his presence yet again. So
well, I'm glad to be here. It has been a while.
Yeah, well, and we're glad to have you back too. People are starting to ask questions like, "Man, is Matt dead? What'd y'all do to him? Why is he not on the pod anymore?"
Matt's been working. I've been telling people somebody has to pay the bills while y'all talk on TV or
that's right,
the computer.
Yeah, well, whenever you get ready to send some of that money this way, just go ahead. I haven't seen any of it yet. No, today we've got a really, really good episode and something we've been trying to work on for a while now. And I just being completely honest, did not know the best way to approach this one. But some of you guys know that in January of this year, we went out to South Texas to participate and film a deer capture event. And we put out some videos of us actually, kind of doing some scenic tours and shooting some blue quail and bob whites and stuff like that. But we didn't actually put out the video for the whole reason why we went on the trip. And so that's what we're going to do here. We've got Joe Hettinger here with us. And Joe, like I said earlier, off camera, I want you to tell the people who you are and what you do, because you are way smarter than anybody else on this podcast, and I will screw up your intro. Okay, so go ahead for it, Joe.
Oh man, thanks, Taylor. Yeah, I'm excited to reach out to your guys' viewership, and thanks for the intro. And I'm excited to tell you guys about what we've been doing down in South Texas, and hopefully we can make it applicable to the greater viewership you guys have. So a little bit about me. I would say just blanket statement. I'm an outdoorsman and a conservationist.
Sure.
What got me
into this, you'll fit in real well.
I appreciate that. What kind of got me to this like to here is I am a veterinarian as well. So got my degree at University of Missouri.
See what I'm saying, y'all? You see what I'm talking about?
Yep.
And worked, got there in 2016, kind of traveled from around Missouri to Tennessee up to Minnesota. And then really, kind of found my foothold down in Texas with a PhD program. So, working on getting my PhD dissertation right now, which is part of, what this project is about. And really the whole theme of my dissertation is looking at how management influences whitetail deer performance and health. So there's a lot of things in my dissertation that, talk about disease and population recruitments and demographics, nutrition. So they're kind of, but the theme is population performance and health. So, yeah, that's what I've been doing and cranking out for the past 4 years. And, I still have some time left to, get some of these projects wrapped up. And, the one that we're going to be talking about today, yeah, I'm just very fortunate to be a part of it and, be able to hand off the torch to, the master student that we just hired, and happy to talk to you guys about what we've been doing. So, is that an appropriate intro, Taylor? Is
That
that
is
kind of what
much better than I would have done. I would have stopped when I said, I know he's a vet and he does lots and lots of other things, but I don't know. He won't let him tell you. So, yeah, absolutely. And guys, before we jump into that, because I know that you are interested in this, and we're going to get into kind of the details of what this project was about and kind of its not just its origin, but I guess what maybe its implications could be, depending on what the findings are. I do want to take just a second and do a sponsor shout out. As hunting season is nearing, we are getting closer and closer to opening day here in Alabama. Some of you other states have already been in the woods, but for us, we got about a month or so until we kick things off around here. I do want to give a shout out to Tethered. You guys hear us talk about them a lot. Tree saddle company based out of Columbia, Tennessee. And there's so much more than that for us and for a lot of outdoorsmen. They have, I hate using this word, y'all. It kind of makes me want to throw up. But in all honesty, they really have kind of changed the game a little bit with some of their climbing methods and some of the methods and products that they've developed to just make you a little bit more efficient, go farther, stay longer, and hunt harder. Those type things. I think their motto is high speed, low drag. They want to make it so that things are much easier and more efficient for you to get in the woods and get to your spot. And I think they're running like some preseason sale type things right now. So go check out tethered.com. You can check out anything from climbing sticks to their new saddles. And they've got just a lot of different things. One of my favorite products of theirs right now that I want to check out, hopefully I can get one in my hand before the opening day gets here, but they have something called a saber. It's a folding tree saw. And basically, it functions just like a normal saw would, but it also allows you to cut down a small branch, a small stick of some kind, and then attach it to that stick that you just cut down, and now it becomes a pole saw. And so it kind of lets you, cut out some limbs and stuff like that. So shout out to Tethered. We certainly appreciate you guys helping us out on the podcast, and I think you guys would be well served if you were to get some of their products and give them a test run. But having said that, did we lose Matt? Joe, is he gone? I don't know what happened.
Yeah, it looks like it for just maybe a little bit. I'm sure he'll pop back on.
Yeah, he did grace us with his presence. I guess that's all we get today. He's going to leave us, but yeah, we'll jump in. Oh, there he is. He's trying to get back in the chat here. See if we can get him back. Hey, there he is.
Man, I don't know what happened. I had a call come in, and I went to get off the call or delete the call, and you're looking at the results.
Gotcha. We're back in, man. All right, so Joe, I guess we'll jump in here with this kind of first question. Can you explain with this particular project? You don't have to give away necessarily locations. I don't know if that stuff is meant to be kept, under lock and key, but we know it's in Texas. And can you just kind of give us, I guess, a little bit of a rundown of what was the reasoning for or the idea behind this specific research project, and what is it looking at?
Yeah, sure. Well, to kind of, to your first point of, can we disclose the location, all that? Well, the thing is that the landowner that or the foundation that funds this project, their legacy is research. So it's at the Faith Ranch, which is located, in the Golden Triangle of South Texas, which is for your viewers, kind of between Laredo and Eagle Pass, kind of along the border. It's in the Wild Horse Desert. It's brush country. It's a beautiful area, but truly, like the foundation, Faith Ranch. Once again, like they are just incredible, like incredible people that want to improve populations and get to understanding mechanisms that we can use to inform management. So that's what this project's about. And then, they work with the Cesar Claiborne Wildlife Research Institute, which I'm a part of, and we do the research. So that's kind of how it gets started. In terms of the project itself, the thing that we're investigating is, all right, how does the type of nutritional supplementation and then the timing of nutritional supplementation influence performance? So, nutritional supplementation is kind of, it depends on the state and legal or, state requirements or what's available. But realistically, nutritional supplementation, habitat improvements, they're all kind of one and the same. So, how can we improve the condition of the population?
So Joe, can I stop you just for a second? Just for clarification for our viewers. So by performance, you mean body condition, reproductive rates, antler growth, increases in all of those factors.
Yeah, exactly. So for this project specifically, we use performance or fawn recruitment. And then, so meaning like where, they get past that first critical period of fawning, where 80% of them die, like, okay, they become a sustainable member of the population. And then doe metrics, so fawn to doe ratios, or exactly body size, rump fat measurements. So how much fat are those does putting on? That is a marker of nutritional condition. So that's, performance is kind of a umbrella term for all of those things. And then, so essentially, so how does that nutritional plane, that type, timing influence that? And in our area, there's two options. The big one that most people think about in terms of supplemental nutrition is a pelleted feed. So, something that you just get from the feed mill or whatever that has anywhere from 16 to 22% protein. We at our ranch or at Faith Ranch, they feed, it's a 20%. That's pretty standard. And the thing with protein feed though is that it's a little bit more like, if you're doing the cost per ton, it's an expensive thing. But the bigger issue is that, man, do the non-targets love it? Like javelina, wild pig,
right?
I mean, raccoons, everything that's got just a single stomach is like protein feed. And so non-target species is a problem. So they love to swarm the feeders. But then also, protein feed to store it. I mean, I don't know if you guys have been around pelleted feed when it gets wet, but I mean,
it's gross.
It just it degrades. I mean, it just becomes a mush.
And it's extremely difficult to keep in storage in the Southeast because our humidity is so high.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, where we're at in kind of in the Wild Horse Desert, it's a little bit drier, but we do get that humidity. We get these like crazy rainstorms and stuff. So it needs to be kept in, pretty like a good silo, like it's got to be kept out of the environment. So that issue lends to the other option, which is cottonseed. So whole cottonseed, it's a byproduct of cotton. So when the fields turn white, they get the tillers out and everything and collect all of that cotton, and then there's a byproduct of the seed. And that seed is it's like kind of like a superfood. It's got 22% protein, super high in fat, all these vitamins and minerals, just as a byproduct of cotton. Costs, it is a little bit cheaper than protein, but I would not say it's like the determining factor of why you should be using it, because it's kind of a wash. Okay. The really important thing about cottonseed is that it is incredibly resilient to the environment. Like you can just keep it outside, put a tarp over it, and it's going to be fine. It's not going to degrade. It's not going to mold. It's awesome. So yeah, so like the landowner, other landowners in Texas, they knew this. They knew that, okay, there's these two options. The other positive of cottonseed is that monogastrics really don't eat it. So meaning like the pigs, the javelina, the raccoons, because it makes them feel sick. Like they literally can't process it. There's a chemical in it called gossypol that can be toxic and can really get into the bloodstream of these monogastric species like the pigs, javelina, all that. And they just can't like get rid of it. So they just feel sick and they're like, okay, I'm never going to eat that again. And really, you don't see many of those species coming by and even investigating. So it helps for, deer managers like, hey, if I put this cottonseed on the landscape, like my deer are going to eat it, and I'm not going to have to worry about pigs or javelina swarming it. So that's the other benefit. So, this conversation's been had and, because cottonseed's been on the landscape for some time, like people have been using it for, at least, can't say how long back it's gone, but I mean, we have, the first studies, at our institute looking at the chemical ingredients of cottonseed right around 2010. So maybe, probably way before that. But essentially the idea was like, okay, how do these two supplemental feeds compare to each other? Like, is one better than the other? We don't know that. Like, nobody knows that. So for a landowner, it's super important for them to know, like, okay, is protein feed better? Is cottonseed better? How do I know this? As opposed to just anecdotal evidence, so like just your neighbor saying, hey, yeah, my deer look great. So that's kind of how it got started. It was like, hey, from a management perspective, which of these feeds is better? And then we took that research question, and, kind of built it up. So it's like, okay, well, how does these different types of nutritional supplementation influence performance? But then another important thing is, how does the timing of supplemental nutrition influence all of these things that we're interested in investigating? And what I mean by timing is that, at least, in our region, a very common management practice is to pull supplemental nutrition during the hunting season. So, realistically, that could be like, I don't know, let's just say 60 days. And that usually is in the rut, right? So what's going on in the rut? Like all the does are coming into their first estrus, they're ovulating. If you pull the rug out from these does when they're ovulating and they've been eating a good amount of supplemental nutrition, because in our region, like supplemental nutrition, it accounts for a pretty large amount of their diet. Mm-hmm. You go from having, I don't know, I'm just going to ballpark, but let's just say 1,000 calories a day that you're used to getting from the feeder to having to, whoa, like, am I eating browse now? Like, what's happening here? And getting that rug pulled out from them, man, you can essentially shut down ovulation with that. So what we are interested in with timing is, when we pull that rug out, how does that influence their ovulation, and then their body size, how they nurse their fawn, how they and ultimately what the fawn recruitment looks like in the summer, or fawn crop looks like in the summer. So, and that's not known. And really, like, the reason why we pull feed during that time is to increase hunter visibility. you know, because I mean, it's brushy down here. Like we're hunting senderos, you know, it's not like we're up in, you know, the oak trees or pine trees or anything like that to, you know, get our hunting lanes. I mean, we're in brush. So it's really important that we can increase that visibility, you know, of these deer so they're not just, you know, sleeping in the brush.
I have a question for you, Joe. Have y'all encountered any issues conditioning the deer to take cottonseed? I know sometimes in the Southeast, we've had issues getting deer to, you know, either just use feeders or transition to a new feed type. Has that been an issue?
Yeah. So that is a problem. That is obviously something you need to consider when transitioning from a protein pellet to cottonseed. Absolutely, because the way that they eat the cottonseed, it needs to be kept in these certain types of baskets, and the basket is just like some, I don't know, like chicken wire, basically, that you make a cylinder. And I don't know, it's about like probably 4 feet tall, 4.5 feet tall. And they have to kind of punch it with their mouth and then, you know, browse it. Like because I mean, most of their browsers are using their lips, but what it takes is one brave individual to really show the rest of them how to do it.
Right. Yeah.
So there is that you have to consider that. Now, do they figure it out? Absolutely. Did we see any effects of cottonseed on nutritional condition? The Not to fully get into results because we don't really have them yet. Like this is a 4-year project. The data that we do have was to set our baseline. So when we had our first capture that you guys came out on, those deer were on those treatments, so cottonseed, protein, whatever, from March to January. So it's not really a full assessment of year to year.
Right.
However, with that being said, summary statistics did not show a difference at that point in terms of rump fat, body weight. So to the concern of, okay, did these individuals have reduced, you know, did they have a decrease in performance or, you know, body weight, rump fat as a function of just putting them on that feed? We did not detect that, you know, in January. Potentially, you know, there was a little bit of a learning curve, you know, in the beginning. Absolutely.
Right.
But when we populated the treatments, we populated them randomly from across the entire ranch, and there was already supplemental feed on the ranch, or there was already some cottonseed on the ranch. So I think we had some of those brave individuals to figure it out.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Gotcha. Did I answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, okay, yeah, and I've got one too here. I know that you guys have a system for the deer capture event itself. And by the way, great job. I mean, not that any of us really have had a chance to see that up close, but that was certainly my first experience. And it seemed like, I don't know, maybe you can say, oh man, that was chaos. But on our end, it looked like it was extremely organized and very well put together. So, but I mean, everything from, you know, you got helicopters buzzing around, shooting net guns, you know, and then you have, I don't know what you call those guys, cowboys, wranglers, whatever, on a 4-wheeler that capture, you know, tie up the deer and bring them to your table. Once that deer gets placed on a table, can you tell us what data was collected from that point before the deer is then released again?
For sure. Absolutely.
Because there was a lot going on.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate that, you know, that acknowledgement, you know, like we definitely, I mean, we do a lot of deer research down here. We handle a lot of deer in a year. So it's just a testament to the people that trained us. And yeah, just we have a really great model. So Yeah, so essentially, when the wranglers come in with that deer, the priority is getting those samples, getting the research, getting everything that we're interested in, like recorded and get that deer out. Like minimizing that time that deer is on the table is critical, because the longer it's on there, the more that we're handling it, the more stress it's going to have, the more likely it's going to have a capture related mortality. So like a capture myopathy. So super important that we are always keeping check on the health of the deer while it's there. So the reason why I bring that up is because the first thing that we do when that deer is on the table, obviously, prior to that, let me just kind of back up. All the deer are going to be hobbled, just so your viewership kind of understands what's happening. They're when they're neck gunned, they're on the ground. The wrangler crew, professionals, put face masks on them so they can't see, and then are hobbled. And once you put a face mask on a live deer, it is amazing. I know not many people have witnessed this, but I mean, I have seen they just go to sleep. I mean, their heart rates drop they're running around getting net gunned. Their heart rates are probably pushing like 120, 150, maybe 160. And like you put that blindfold on them and they just drop to like 180. Like it's wild. So when they get transported to us, it's really important that we make sure that their temperature is okay, their body temp. So we get a temperature immediately while everybody's getting their hands on them. If that temperature is out of the limit for what we would consider safe, we apply cold towels and we give a cold water enema, and that drops that temperature immediately. And so that's the first thing that we check. We get body weight measurements, body mass. So with our scale, we measure how long the deer are. We measure how long their legs are. So we try to get an idea of skeletal structure, and then we can use that information to correlate with, proportions of weight. But and then we're obviously drawing blood because we have a lot of hormones that we're interested in with this study. So we're interested in the percentage of or the concentrations of gossypol, which, like I said, that's that chemical that's in cottonseed. We're interested in understanding their stress hormones, so cortisol. How does the effective treatment influence their stress hormones? And then also an energetic hormone called the thyroid hormone to see, okay, is there any effect on the metabolism associated with our treatments? We can look at estradiol, which is obviously a sex hormone that can be manipulated or affected by gossypol and cottonseed. So that's kind of all on the blood side. We do rump fat measurement with an ultrasound, and that's an indicator of nutritional condition. So we literally, when we're out there in the bush, like we have an ultrasound machine and can look and see like, okay, is this how much rump fat does this individual have? Yeah, it's an all hands effort. We make them work. I know y'all were really helpful when we were out there, moving deer, helping deer, getting some measurements. I hope you guys had fun doing that. And then we age them too, and obviously we age using Severinghouse's method, which is just by tooth wear. And then, yeah, once we get all those measurements, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that's really additional to that. But
you tested for COVID, right?
Yeah. So we tested for, thank you. So SARS-CoV-2, deer can get it if you didn't know. We don't know whether it's the spill from human to deer to human. It's still unknown of definitely deer can get it from humans. We just don't know if deer can bring it back to humans, but they do act as a reservoir. So that was a side project that we were working with a collaborator, A&M College Station, and testing deer all across Texas for that, because The reality is, obviously, what we don't know about SARS-CoV-2 in deer is, does it affect their performance? And we can answer that with this study, which is super cool.
So do you have any information on maybe the percentage of deer that had SARS-CoV-2?
Yeah, well, yes. So the thing though is that with SARS-CoV-2, we sampled, I think it was like 3,000 white-tailed deer all across Texas in a matter of like 3 or 4 years. And out of those whitetails, only one was PCR positive, meaning it actually had was actually shedding the virus at the time we sampled.
Right. Yeah.
However, the percentage of exposure, so antibody exposure, much higher. I mean, we had ranches ranging from, down from, I don't know, like 10%, well, 0% till, but from 0 up to 75%.
Wow.
Yeah. And but what we learned from that was that the actual intensity of management, so whether you were a deer breeder operation or wild free ranging, low fence, no supplemental feed, it didn't matter. So I mean, it was just a very interesting finding that prevalence was not predicted by deer management intensity.
Gotcha.
So that's what we found. And then, on the ranch at Faith, the prevalences were all over the place because they have multiple. It's a very large ranch, but because we do so much research, we subdivide multiple different pastures for research, hunting, all that sort of stuff. So depending upon the pasture, the prevalences range. It was kind of cool. Yeah. In the spot where there's very little human activity and the deer are just hanging out with the cattle, it's they were very low, so it's incredible. It's all over the place, and we don't know what actually drives that prevalence. We're trying to get at it, though.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, I knew when the deer hit the table, it was like everybody had a job. Everybody was pulling some sort of sample, doing something, measuring, testing something, and then that deer was off the table very quickly. So I was just like, man, there's a whole lot going on. I'm not gonna. I think one time I even asked Joe, like, "Hey, so what are you doing right here?" And like, dude, I can't right now. I got stuff to do. Talk to me later. And like, my bad.
Oh man,
it was a fun time. The only regret I have is I injured my back the day before we did the majority of capture, and good night, y'all. It was rough, but still had a great time.
Oh yeah, man. It was awesome.
Matt says that, but he was lifting pretty much every deer off the table and getting it into, getting it released. So, your other buddy broke his hand though, right?
Jeremy,
nearly, yeah. With the trailer, I think the trailer door slammed on his hand.
It did. It was the top load, or the door slammed, down, and it got his hand. But I don't think it broke, but it was, it was. Everybody was down. He had like a crazy migraine the day before too, or something like that too. So I was like the only person who didn't injure themselves on that trip. So
I mean, we caught something like 170 deer and processed them in a day.
Yes.
So it was not a light load by any sense of the word. Like you guys were incredibly helpful in that process of getting deer in and out. So
we enjoyed it. We really enjoyed it.
Joe, I guess I got another one here. This is just your own personal opinion here, but what is your initial hypothesis of the findings from this? I know that you said that you don't have the research, we don't have the findings yet. This is a 4-year, 5-year project, but just kind of in your gut feeling, what do you think? What can you estimate the findings might be when it comes to the cottonseed?
Sure, yeah, and just before I dive into what our predictions are. It's important to recognize that, like, for your viewers, this is an experiment. But man, it's so cool because we're doing this in 4 200-acre enclosures.
Right.
So it's like, there's micro experiment where you have a deer in a 9x20 stall, which we can do at our captive research facility in Kingsville,
Right.
and have done. And then there's like the observational free ranging, like 1,200-acre, pasture where you can't control for anything, and you're just doing an observational study and using year as a treatment. So this is cool because we can do like the in between. And in each of those enclosures, so there's 4. One is, two of them have cottonseed and protein in them. So one of those differs in that one is fed year round. The other one is the treatment where we pull the feed for 60 days.
So simulate a hunting season, right? Is that what that's for?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. A very classic management operational schedule. And then the other 2, one is cottonseed year round and the other one is protein year round. And by protein, I mean like protein pellet, like a balanced, like nutritional pellet.
Right.
So those are the 4 treatments. And what do we predict to happen? Is that we're going to see, I'm predicting reduced fawn crops in the treatment that we pull the rug out. I think what we're going to see is that those deer, like in that first estrus, I think they're going to wait because we do that 60 days. We pull it, I think our plan is to pull it basically 2 months before capture. So in like mid-November. And then they're going to ovulate probably as soon as we put feedback on that landscape. And which is wild to think about because that's going to be in January. So then we're going to have fawns, peak fawnings in July here. So maybe some late born fawns in August, God, who knows? But I think that's really important to see if we see that effect, because there's unpublished literature from Caesar Clayburgh, Dr. Hewitt, our director, that he had a study where he saw that deer could be driven down in nutritional plane, so restrict calories. They would not ovulate, and then as soon as they got into a positive caloric energy balance, they ovulated. So I think that's what's going to happen there. And that's going to be all out of whack because those bucks are going to be going really hard, during rut like they want to. But, I just don't think there's going to be an egg for them to ovulate or to inseminate. Right. So we'll see what happens there. That's my first prediction is that. And then, in terms of the type, I don't know. Both are really great diets. Both are really great feeds. What I'll tell you is that we caught way more fawns out of the treatment that had 100% protein year round than any of the other treatments. Okay. And then, so we saw way more fawns in there, and that's anecdotal. We haven't really statistically evaluated that with our camera data, but man, there's a lot more fawns in that one enclosure. So obviously it's hard to get out. I don't want to get out over my skis with it just yet because they weren't on that treatment year round. And to Matt's point, could they have been acclimating to the cottonseed at that same time? Maybe. Yeah, absolutely. They could have been acclimating to that different feed type. And then the deer that were in the protein only enclosure, maybe that was the feed that they were most used to. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see we'll see. I mean, we'll have at least first year data in January. So if you want to plug us back in, I can update your viewership on kind of some of the findings that we have. And
Yeah, for sure.
I think that'd be a great idea. I would be interested in seeing what your fawn recruitment rates are after you evaluate this fawning season's data.
Exactly. Yeah. So we have a baseline, pretty good baseline. And I mean, I think we're all excited, at the Institute. A lot of landowners around here are extremely excited, so it's going to be really, really cool. It's going to be cool to find out. But we got to, once again, take into year as an effect. So it's a 4-year project for that reason. I mean, in South Texas here, I mean, it ebbs and flows. Our vegetation communities just boom and bust with rainfall. So even though we're a supplementally fed, like we have a lot of supplemental feed on the landscape, I mean, deer still like a good proportion of their diet is still native vegetation.
Mm-hmm.
So just cannot forget that it is still incredibly important to have that native vegetation for these individuals.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about that a lot. I mean, even Matt alludes to it on our podcast too, and says, "Don't get me wrong. Having a feeder of some kind and some kind of supplement is not a bad thing. It's not going to hurt anything. But if you look at your trail camera photos, you will see how much time they spend at a feeder versus how much time they are actively browsing elsewhere. They're not spending a ton of time standing in front of a feeder. They're other places browsing on other things. But one thing I was going to get you to say, because I can't remember what the numbers were, but in those 4 research pins, what were the numbers of does and bucks when you guys started?
Yep. Yeah. So 24 does, and then 8 bucks.
Okay, perfect. So, and then you can kind of just pull does from those, and like you said, hey, that one that had protein year round, significantly higher fawns, the more fawns out of that one than the others.
Yeah, so that kind of gets down to some of the cool camera stuff that we're doing. One other thing I didn't mention about our captures is that, when we populated these pens, we went all across the 40,000 acre ranch. Like we sampled across a gradient, and when you have that size of a ranch, like individuals are going to have different early life conditions. So it's important for us to put them randomly through each enclosure. So we assign the treatment to the individual. That's super important. And then we uniquely identified this individual. So we placed 2 tags, 2 uniquely identifiable ear tags in these individuals. So we can tell, yep, this individual came from this spot and they're in this treatment. And then fast forward, when they start having fawns, when we catch them on video or at the game cameras, we can say that individual has 2 fawns with them, or that individual has 1 fawn. Where's that individual's fawn? So we can get that fawn to doe ratio to the individual, which is cool. And then the other thing that's super interesting about this project is there's some literature. There's this method out there. It's called spatially explicit capture mark recapture, and it's done with cameras. And what you can do is that you can uniquely identify fawns that you haven't even tagged based upon their spot pattern. So we can tell when these fawns come online and when a unique individual goes offline. So we can build these sort of mortality curves associated with, that early life, and then, determine recruitment, at our captures. But we're constantly taking camera images at feeders and and water and across the pasture. So kind of a really unique opportunity to monitor these guys' survival.
That's really cool. I didn't know such a thing even existed. That's pretty awesome. Let's see. I know here's one that we kind of, I guess, more for our listeners than anybody else. But what do you feel like a research project like this, like why is it important for just the average, maybe whitetail enthusiast or the average outdoorsman, the average hunter? Like, why do you think it's important for them to kind of be exposed to this project or even the findings that come from it?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And for any type of conservationist, gear enthusiast, we're all about maintaining or even perpetuating a sustainable hunting population, right? And the way that we do that is by recruiting more individuals from a cohort. So, what we are manipulating, it can be transferable across other management regimes, other states. You just have to put in what that management's going to be. So we're manipulating supplemental nutrition, but man, I mean, it could be, silviculture, clear cutting, it could be, I don't know, your food plots and making sure that those are up and running. It could be, you name it, whatever that, however you can manipulate either pulse resources or improve the nutritional availability on the landscape. This project is directly transferable to it. And what we're going to identify is how two different types can shift that. And then the other important thing is the timing piece. So temporal availability of a nutritional resource. So for us, I mean, when you remove that nutritional resource, we'll be able to identify if there is any type of population consequence associated with it. Insert whatever that could be in for y'all. I mean, I would imagine habitat fragmentation, or actually I know habitat fragmentation is a huge issue for y'all, and neighborhoods going up and moving deer and pulling them away from continuous or contiguous lands. So I think that is a fundamental importance. The other thing that I really, I brought up initially was, hey, how do we inform management? And the way that we do it is through understanding mechanisms. Mm-hmm. So if we can get the mechanism that's driving the fawn recruitment, doe performance, then we can apply that mechanism across the entire all states. Yeah. But we need to identify that mechanism first.
Yeah, I mean, like, not myself, but like Matt, Jeremy, Bray, I mean, some other people that we know, they are in constant dealings with guys that own, if they're deer breeders or if they own a hunting enclosure, some kind of high fence operation where things can be a little bit more controlled and they can have a little bit more say-so over what nutrition is available and what deer are taken and harvested and which ones are not and left on the landscape. I mean, I feel like everything that you're saying, just about like, hey, it may not be a direct difference in the cost of these things. They're, it's basically going to be a wash. But if one tolerates the environment much better and doesn't spoil, and you don't have so much loss, you got a higher yield or can last longer. I mean, that's if that works and the research shows that it works, I feel like that could be huge news for people like that,
And I think here in the Southeast, going back to your point, Joe, about silvicultural practices, we have considerably more average rainfall than South Texas. Stuff grows in Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee, Georgia. We have a lot of closed canopy hardwood and upland pine systems now. And, with the timber markets the way that they are, that's not helping either with getting people to, conduct silvicultural practices. But one thing that I preach all the time is the importance of understory management. And that's, it's the same type thing because we have the rainfall. understory management has a huge implications on the reproductive success, the body weights, antler growth of our whitetail deer here. So, if you can prove that, yeah, high protein supplemental feed in South Texas has big implications for the fitness of deer, then I can make the same argument. Hey, understory management has huge implications to the fitness of deer.
Absolutely. Yeah. So keeping up with those fire regimes, burning that
Mhm.
understory, like, getting very aware of what the best fire return interval is going to be,
Mhm.
to really provide, I mean, first off, obviously that really high, valuable, highly nutritious browse, but then
Mhm.
also like great fawning, uh, great fawning habitat. So,
Yep. Yep.
that's just, yeah, incredible. So yeah, good, really great point.
It's cool. Well, I know we're getting short on time here, Joe. I don't want to keep you any longer. Is there anything as far as research or any other projects that you have, maybe in addition to this one, or maybe completely unrelated, that you guys have coming up that you might want our listeners to know about, or something that you want for them to be on the lookout for?
Yeah, I mean, gosh, there's so we're always coming out with some really cool stuff. So our lab specifically, we have a project sponsor, the East Foundation. They're an incredible foundation, and we've got this long-term data set that we've been doing annual fall captures with. And then we've also been doing a spring capture with. So one of my colleagues has this awesome coyote fawn survival study that is going on. And he's going to be finishing up pretty soon next spring. So, he's been presenting at different conferences with some of those findings. So look forward to some of those results. I mean, I'm sure you would love to talk with your readership about it, or your viewership about it. So I had a thermal experiment that we did at our captive facility. That was manipulating the thermal condition and individual experience, and then monitored, the responses, a bunch of different things. That one's going to be coming out. I'm presenting that at a national conference in a couple of weeks. So that's a fun one. So there's always stuff coming out. The last thing that I want to leave you guys with would be, yeah, at this same ranch, we conducted a 15-year project that was looking at how the early life conditions of an individual influence their lifelong performance.
Mm-hmm.
And this is with adult males. So
Mhm.
this is a study that, man, I mean, rivals some of the best, if not is the best study that has ever tracked uniquely identified wild free-ranging male deer throughout their lives. I think it was like something like 500 known age individuals caught at birth or that first year of life, and then accounting for nearly 3,000 to 4,000 capture histories. So
Jeez. Wow.
yeah, imagine that. So
Mhm.
and what we were looking at was, antler size, body size, stress hormones, those types of things. And that project, I mean, I'm writing that up. Really, like, a lot of people were involved in that project, and I'm just fortunate to be able to, help, write some of those findings and bring that to the table. So
So,
that's going to be.
Joe, please tell me that the condition in which a fawn hits the dirt has implications on its development throughout its entire lifetime.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's
So early life conditions are critical.
so. Are y'all looking? Is this one of the studies that's looking at epigenetics and the triggers that may be influenced early on in development?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. I'm
Yep.
looking forward to that.
Yeah. It's awesome. It's really that's the project that got me down here. So,
Yeah.
and obviously, Matt Moore was the
Yeah.
biologist at Faith. critical for that. And I mean, he had that project running way before I got here. So yeah. And once again, you're standing on the shoulders of giants kind of thing. So very, very happy to be a part of that project. And
well,
bring that
I'm
out
glad
to
that you, I'm glad you mentioned that project, the 15-year project, because when we were putting out videos from when we had a chance to do a little bit of hunting and stuff like that, trying to explain to our viewers, like, man, you guys are shooting, deer in a pen. There's tags in their ears, and they're like, there's no fences here, man. Like, this was, Matt, the way he explained it was, if you see tags in deer in certain parts of the ranch, where we were at, he said, these are just deer that are left over. These are deer that just happen to, the research is, the project is over. It's been conducted, but it doesn't mean every deer is just off the landscape. The deer is still here. And so that's what people were seeing in some of the videos we were posting. And boy, we're getting roasted. And they're like, hey, like they're free ranging wild deer. They just happen to have a tag where they've been tagged and released. But yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because that is amazing though. 3,000 to 4,000 captures is unbelievable.
Yep.
That's no small feat.
No. Well, Joe, man, listen, I know I don't want to rush things, but I know you guys have stuff going on today, but I really appreciate you taking time this morning. You guys don't know this, but we filmed this at like 9 o'clock this morning. So most people are at work doing stuff that makes them money, but he took some time out of his day to share with us. So, Joe, I really appreciate it, and sorry if we got in your way when we were trying to run around with cameras and stuff like that during the capture event. But we had a blast, and appreciate you being on.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for the opportunity to share what we're doing down here, and really, really appreciate. Really appreciate y'all.
Yeah, and if you have links to any of the findings, or if you have articles or anything that came from any of these projects, shoot them to me whenever we post the episode. I'll be sure to include the link so our listeners can find those too and check them out.
All right, very cool, awesome, and yeah, we'll try to sync up in January again. And
yeah,
let you guys
sounds great.
What we're
absolutely. Seeing. And last thing I'll say, guys, thank you so much for watching. And we have seen a surge in our Facebook following. We have seen a surge in our TikTok following and stuff. So everything is trending in the right direction. All that we would ask for you to do is just to continue supporting us. If you would share, like, comment, subscribe, send us DMs, all the things. Invite a friend, send us link to somebody, that one of your hunting buddies, whatever. It means a ton to us, and we want to keep doing this. We want to continue to provide this type of content for you, and it's easier to do that when we get a little bit of money to be compensated for it. It's hard to do it when you don't make anything. So we really appreciate that. And our big announcement that we have talked about what seems like forever, I'm just going to go ahead and put the date out there. Opening day in Alabama is the October 15th. It's not, last year was the 14th, but it's the 15th this year. Correct, Matt?
Yeah, I think so. I'm going on the 15th anyway.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Matt's going on the 15th. But yeah, October 15th is opening day. It is also our 2-year birthday. The podcast will be 2 years old at that point. And that is when we are launching our big idea, our big project that we have been working on for the better part of a year now. And we cannot wait to share that with you. We're almost done with it. We're getting closer day by day. And as soon as that happens, you're going to know about it. But I'm just going to put the date out there. We have a hard deadline now. Be on the lookout October 15th when you're in the woods trying to drag deer out of the woods and, shooting the bull with your buddies. Check out what we've got going on. We'll let you know about it. But thank you again for watching. Thank you for supporting us. Really appreciate you, Joe. And we will see you guys.
Joe.
We will see you guys on the next one.
Peace.